Okay, you're all set.
Okay, great. So if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Trustee Cheney?
Here.
Trustee Lindbergh?
Here.
Mayor Newhart?
Here.
Trustee Bachman?
Here.
Trustee McManus?
I'm here.
Stephen Gaba?
Present.
And DPW Supervisor Mike Mosier is absent.
Pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021 permitting local governments to hold meetings remotely and take such actions authorized by law without allowing the public to be physically present at the meetings due to safety concerns related to the Delta variant of COVID-19, the Village of Warwick Village Board meetings will be conducted virtually through Zoom video conference until further notice or until the expiration of the law on January 15, 2022. To view the meeting, the public may view the meeting live on the Village of Warwick, New York's YouTube channel. And the public may also view the meeting a day or so after its completion by going to the village website, villageofwarwick.org. To comment during privilege of the floor, comments may be sent to the village board prior to the village board meeting via email to clerk@villageofwarwick.org or via mail, Village of Warwick, attention Village Clerk, Post Office Box 369, Warwick, New York 10990. Please indicate in your correspondence that you wish to have your comments read during privilege of the floor. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So. Tonight's meeting starts with a public hearing, and Raina, if you would read the public notice.
Please take notice that the Village Board of the Village of Warwick will hold a public hearing on the 18th day of October 2021 at 7:30 p.m. at Village Hall, 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York 10990, on a proposed local law number 3 of the year 2021 entitled "A Local Law to Amend Village Code Chapter 135, Vehicles and Traffic, to add traffic safety regulations and traffic control devices." The purpose of this local law is to promote the public health, safety, and welfare by amending Village Code Chapter 135, Vehicles and Traffic, to add traffic safety regulations and traffic control devices. A copy of the proposed local law is on file in the office of the village clerk and available for inspection by interested persons during village clerk's business hours. Pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, permitting local governments to hold meetings remotely and take such actions authorized by law without allowing the public to be physically present at the meeting due to safety concerns related to the Delta variant of COVID-19, members of the village board will attend the meeting via Zoom video conference. The public hearing may be viewed live on the Village of Warwick, New York YouTube channel. Interested parties may submit comments to be received by 4 p.m. on October 18th, 2021 via mail, attention Village Clerk, 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York 10990, or via email clerk@villageofwarwick.org. Comments may also be made via YouTube during the public hearing by going to the Village of Warwick, New York YouTube channel.
Okay. Do we have any comments?
No.
Okay. Board members?
Mayor, most of these changes are just continued additions, corrections to the vehicles and traffic that we talked about last year. Just a couple noteworthy ones. On Spring Street between McEwen and West, we're going to just have no parking on the west side of the street, just too narrow. There's a measurement correction on First Street as far as the loading zone footage. A couple corrections on the handicap parking in Chase parking lot and then on Park Avenue, and then we're adding the Chase parking lot addition as far as the handicapped. And there's a change with the parking meters, 135-22 on First Street. And again, some new meters on First Street. Again, some general corrections to the code. But I also want to bring up, and I like to have Mr. Gaba's advice. We have 24-hour parking 7 days a week at our Chase parking lot. We are running out of room, the Chase parking lot for the tenant parking. We do, however, have some room at the First Street parking lot for 24-hour per day, Monday through Sunday, 24 hours per day. So I need some advice on how we can handle that, either tonight or another public hearing. So 135-21, parking time limited in certain locations.
I want to comment on that I have gotten, so at this time, we do have permit parking allowed on First Street, but only one of them, I believe 5 spots, and only one has been used historically. But we do have many tenants who live on the, Barry, help me out. Is it the west side of First Street? It would be the Grappa side.
That would be the north side of First Street.
The north side. Okay, thank you. Anyway, those tenants do not have driveways. They live above the buildings, and so one of the issues that has happened is that for bringing groceries and things of that nature, it's very difficult to park at the Chase lot and then to schlep stuff there. So anyway, I think it would help a lot of people out. So, and since it's underused at this point for permits, it seems logical we could try it as tenant parking.
Well, I have no problem with it either way. It's just, it's not part of this local law. So you can act on what's in front of you tonight, but you can't add on. You're going to have to revise the law and renotice the public hearing if you want to add that.
Right. No, understood. So would we have to have another public hearing just on that?
You'd have to renotice the whole local law because you're adding a new provision to it. You can make minor grammatical changes to a local law once you can take portions out once you've noticed it. What you can't do is add new sections which haven't been noticed. So what you do is just table this tonight. We can write in, if that's the board's pleasure, we could write in the revision, and then you notice it for your public hearing for your next meeting, hold the public hearing and adopt it with the amendment.
I think that would make the most sense instead of, having an entire public hearing just on that one piece and, table it until we add that piece. There's nothing, Bill, maybe you can tell me, there's nothing that's time sensitive, correct?
No, we'll be all right.
I guess a question relative, Mayor, to the comment you made about the individuals who are now residing in apartments that face onto First Street. The problem of them having to carry large items, multiple items from one of the lots, might we consider a loading zone there for 15-minute time frame that would give them that benefit? I guess I'd question whether there are enough of them that would make that worthwhile, but certainly that would help that one particular challenge that they're faced with.
We do have a loading zone on First Street, pretty much behind Grappa there.
So then that's resolved, but
yeah.
And so we're just purely now looking for additional permit parking spaces that they would be able to use.
Yes.
And currently the First Street lot has how many? How many available?
Well, I think there's 4, right, Raina?
There are 5 overnight parking spaces now.
And 1 is being used?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So until those other four are, permits taken for them, do we really need to move forward with this at this time? Because it sounds like, we've got more available than what people are interested in taking.
Well, what they are, Barry, is really just permit parking for during the day. And so they're not allowed to keep their car overnight.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought they were 24 hours. They're not.
No,
Understood.
no.
Okay. Yep.
No.
That's definitely a problem.
Yeah, we need to add Monday through Sunday, 24 hours per day for these new ones.
I would agree that the best way to move forward with this would be to, I guess, table tonight's and then revise the document and go for a public hearing at our next meeting if the time frame allows publication.
So Steve, how should we table this then?
Well, the bottom line is, if it's the board's intent, you're going to renotice the public hearing. So you could close it and then notice it as a new public hearing. You could table it and renotice it as continued hearing on what's there, plus a hearing on the amendment. So whether you close it or you leave it open is just going to affect how we write up the notice. It's really all the same.
Okay.
Because you can close the public hearing and just not take any action on the law, renotice it, and go from there.
Right. I'm looking for the least cumbersome.
I would close it and then just renotice it and not take action on this version of the draft.
Okay. So any more comments before we close this public hearing? You'll have a chance to comment again at the next time.
I just have a quick question about
Yes.
procedures. So does the board have to make a motion tonight, Steve, then to hold a public hearing, say at the second meeting in November now? So that would be what the notice would say?
The appropriate thing to do, Raina, would be, again, you can either close or leave this one open. That's, again, just going to affect how we draft up the notice. But there should be a resolution reintroducing the revised local law or introducing the amendment to the local law. And then you would have that resolution set your public hearing. You wouldn't take action on that tonight. You don't have to draft it for you.
Right. Okay. So November 1st. Okay. Thank you.
So am I hearing correctly? Then we have to make a motion tonight to have another public hearing for.
Well, the appropriate thing to do is to resolve the public hearing that you have before you, which again, my advice is to close it. But if you want, you could leave it open and it'll just affect how we draft up the notice. At your next meeting, you will have the revised draft, the text that Bill is talking about of this local law, along with a resolution introducing that revised local law, that revised draft of it, and setting a public hearing on that. So you don't want to try to set a public hearing tonight because you don't have the language.
I get it. Yes. I understand. Okay. Very good. Well, may I have a motion then to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion to accept the following reports: September 2021 Clerk's Office and Tax Collection Summary, Justice Department, Police Department, Planning Board, ZBA, and ARB, including the Treasurer's Office monthly credit card account transaction detail for the September and October 2021 statements.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
You didn't ask for the building department. You didn't ask for the building department.
I did say Building Department.
No, you said police.
Okay, and Building Department. Sorry. So could I have a second as amended?
Second as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And may I have a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $272,599.72.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have no police report this evening, but under announcements, all things Halloween in the village of Warwick. And Bill, would you do the honors?
Sure. All things Halloween in the Village of Warwick. First of all, we have a Halloween costume parade. Village of Warwick Recreation Department will be hosting a spectacular Halloween costume parade on Sunday, October 31st, 2021. Lineup will take place at 4:30 p.m. on High Street. The parade will start at 5 p.m. and proceed down Main Street. The parade will end at the railroad tracks on Main Street, where families can then disperse and begin trick-or-treating. The virtual Halloween costume contest, the Village of Warwick will once again be hosting a virtual Halloween costume contest beginning Thursday, October 28th, 2021, through Halloween night, Sunday, October 31st, 2021. In lieu of the costume contest being canceled this year due to COVID-19, we ask that you dress up your spookiest, scariest, and most creative costumes and submit your photos, including your name, age, and costume category, to clerk@villageofwarwick.org. This year's costume contest will include the following categories: most original, scariest, cutest, and the most Warwick pride. Contest will be divided into the following age groups: 0 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 14, adult and family ensemble. The winners will be announced just shortly after Halloween, and the winning photos will be posted on the village's website, www.villageofwarwick.org, and Facebook page and local newspapers. We can't wait to see you in your Halloween best. Then we have our annual Scare the Mayor. Village residents are invited to try their best to scare the mayor for the village's 5th annual Scare the Mayor contest. This is a contest for the scariest, most frightful, scream-worthy Halloween decorated house in the Village of Warwick. Contest is free to enter, and the Village of Warwick residents are eligible to participate. To register your house, please call Village Hall at 845-986-2031 or email clerk@villageofwarwick.org by Thursday, October 28, 2021. On Friday, October 29, 2021, starting at 6 p.m., all participants will receive a visit from the Village of Warwick Mayor, Michael Newhart, and guest judges who will deem the ghouls and ghosts who scare them the most. First, second, and third prizes will receive a plaque that brags, "I scared the mayor." Winners will be announced on Facebook. So string those purple and orange lights with care, spread cobwebs as far as they can bear, creepy skulls and candy corn too. Anything spooky really will do. Mayor anticipates the delights from all scary frights, and they look forward to celebrating the best that residents can offer. And just an update on the Halloween curfew and road closures. This is a Halloween curfew for all persons under the age of 18 unless accompanied by a parent or guardian on all village streets and parks and other public areas in the Village of Warwick between the hours of 9 p.m. on Saturday, October 30th to 6 a.m. on Sunday, October 31st, 2001. And again on Sunday, October 31st from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Monday, November 1st, 2021. The village will once again close off Oakland Court, Welling Avenue, and Orchard Street west of Elm Street on Sunday, October 31st, 2021, from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. High Street will be closed on October 31st, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the parade lineup. Period.
Very good, thank you. And Barry, would you, do you think you can match that with the bill just talking about leaf pickup? Do you have some rhymes?
I will definitely be much briefer. Now that fall is here, the Village of Warwick will begin picking up leaves on November 1st. Leaves must be placed at the curb in paper bags. The last pickup will be during the week of December 13th. Village residents may also bring bagged leaves to the village brush pile, which is open every Saturday and Sunday in October and November from 12 to 4 p.m. Just kind of not a clarification, but a little more emphasis on the last pickup. The DPW is going to be going around picking up leaves, the bagged leaves, at various times in various areas. But the last pickup is the important one. That's the one when on December 13th, that week, it will start, and that will be the end of it. So they'll be going through all the neighborhoods once at that point in time. And if your leaves aren't out there by the time they come through, then you're going to have to figure out something on your own. And also at the brush pile, the leaves should be placed in the roll-off container that will be there for that purpose, so that we can then take those leaves and make some really good compost for our residents to use in their gardens.
Great. Thank you very much. Under correspondence this evening, we have a letter from the Village of Warwick Planning Board Secretary Maureen Evans regarding the Planning Board's secret determination of a negative declaration for an amended site plan application for St. Anthony's Community Hospital. And then we do have that exact topic under discussions this evening, but at the end of today, we received a application for a special use permit, which is what we were all talking about as just to inform the public. St. Anthony's Community Hospital had a special use permit, but it was from some time ago, and there was a question whether that could be extended, but really it was almost a statute of limitations that it was so long, and it was a different project, so it makes sense. And I believe, Steve, do you want to chime in on that at all?
Sure. Under your code, there's a particular zoning district in which the hospital is located, and it says that for a hospital to be constructed within that district, you need both site plan and a special use permit from the village board. You would have thought that the special use permit for the hospital to be there was granted, many years ago by the village, and it kind of was. You have one dating back to 2005. But for whatever reason back then, I believe it was three year limitation was put on permit, had to be renewed, and apparently never was renewed. So that permit is long since expired, and it's the board's decision. Of course, you're going to have to. I'm sure there are many factors that go into deciding how to handle this, but my advice would be to grant a permanent special use permit to the hospital. I just don't see the point of having them come in and renew. It's not like the hospital's going anywhere, or God willing, it isn't going anywhere. And have it cover the entire hospital. And if it's phrased appropriately and they're not looking to make too big of a change, the next time they want to do a minor upgrade of some kind, they wouldn't have to come back for a special permit from the board or amended special permit. They might if it was a big enough change, but they could just go and get site plan, and I think that would be easier for everybody. So the thing to do now that you have it is probably to refer it to our office and to your engineering consultant for a report, and we'll get back to you as to what's proposed to go on there and what the procedure is, and then at your next meeting you can schedule a public hearing. Secret's been taken care of, so you don't have to worry about that.
So I think what's important to recognize is the language in the application, so that it will be a special use permit that will that will last for a long period of time, or as long as the hospital is there. So I will send you over the application as it's written, and it may have to change.
Yeah, what I have is this one page dated today, I believe, and it says describe the project, radiology, and OR building additions. So that you might want to have them say, look, let's have it cover the entire site. I don't think technically, it needs to. I think if they want to, they can proceed with just this. But I think it might be easier for everybody in the end if we say, look, we're renewing your 2005 permit. We're renew it for the whole hospital, renew it for the addition, assuming you want it extended for the addition, and just take care of everything at once.
Okay. So we
Mayor,
have,
correct me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 2005 permit was for an addition that was placed on the hospital for the same day surgery unit that fronts on Maple Avenue. This again is talking about a total of 6,200 square feet of additional space that is being constructed as an addition to the hospital. I guess I'd have to understand how we judge what like a permanent special permit would cover relative to expansions of the footprint of the hospital. But as we go down the road, we can do that.
Fair enough.
So, Steve, am I correct to assume that if, for example, they finish this project, they do have a special use permit that they can use now as time goes on? Would they have to do secra for another project? Would that come into play?
Yeah, secret, they'd still need site plan approval. What
Okay.
the special use permit does is it finds that the use is acceptable in the district if certain criteria is met. That's what a special use permit is. The use would not otherwise be allowed, but it's allowed if you meet A, B, and C. Okay. I think you have 5 criteria actually for your special use permit. And it looks like, and I don't want to talk through my hat because I don't really know the history of the code, but it looks like to me what happened was back when the hospital was built, your code only required site plan. And that subsequently the special use permit requirement was added. So I think the original hospital doesn't have any special use permit at all. I think they came in for an addition and they got a special use permit for that. Now they're coming in for another addition, they get a special use permit for that. That's kind of a messy way to proceed with a land use. But probably better to just clean everything up and say, all right, you got a special use permit and you have a site plan. Now, when you grant the special use permit, it could be hospital wall to wall as far as this lot is concerned. We, build it up as much as you want. We don't care. It's all going to be taken care of in the site plan review. Or you could limit it and say the special use permit is just for a hospital of X square feet and additional buildings of Y square feet and Z square feet. It depends on how much control you want over the development of the site, But that's, as Barry said, that's something that we'll hash out as the application goes forward. Right now, my advice would be just to send this on, as I now have it, but I mean, send this on to me and to your engineering consultant with instructions to get back to you for your next meeting. You'll have 2 memos, and then you can kind of chart your course. But the next thing you're going to be doing, I would think, is scheduling a public hearing on this.
Okay. We do have a representative from the hospital here. Should I let them into the room, or do you want to wait until privilege of the floor?
If you're looking for somebody to give a preference, I would say, since it's germane to this particular discussion topic, I think we should do that now.
Okay. Hello, Dan. You're on mute.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. Have you been listening in? Have you been?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So do you have any questions for our council or for the board?
Not really. It's pretty straightforward project. You have your 3,500 square foot radiology addition and 2,700 square foot OR addition, and our plan shows the setbacks and that. Yes.
You're on mute.
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
And just make sure that YouTube is turned off. It's just an echo you're hearing.
So do you have any questions for our council or for the board?
Not really. It's pretty straightforward project.
Dan, you can unmute yourself just as soon as you turn YouTube off in the background.
Could you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And the setbacks for these additions, they're shown on the prints, and I know it was pretty similar to the setbacks when you did the special use permit in 2005. That's pretty much straightforward for this.
So our council is going to review the application, and as you heard, it's probably prudent to have a special use permit that actually goes beyond this project and that can be used for other projects as you move forward. So and we can talk about that as we do our analysis. So
Okay.
just for information, once you get through these processes, and when would this work commence?
Jim Rizzo's not on now, the architect, but I believe they're looking to design the building over the winter.
Okay.
And my guess would be as soon as the weather breaks, probably in the spring.
Okay.
But let the hospital and Jim give you those further details.
Okay.
I mean, I know our site design plans and everything are together at this part, and then they want to get into the building design through the winter.
Okay. Very good. Gentlemen, any questions for Dan while he's here?
Not well, I guess I'll put it in the form of a question. The proposal has two specific items in it. One is an addition to the operating room, and the other is a radiology addition. And that radiology addition is going to be a similar size as the footprint that now is taken up by the trailer that's there that provides that service currently. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, Dan, thank you for hopping aboard this evening. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you.
Okay. Also under discussion, we have the Cablevision franchise renewal, and Steve, that would be executive session, correct?
Yes, I think the best thing to do would be, you can mention now that Altice is apparently taken over Cablevision of Warwick. I'm not sure if Cablevision of Warwick is a subsidiary or it's just out now taken over them. And it's time to renew their cable franchise for the village, which involves a public hearing on a negotiated contract. And then after the public hearing, once the contract is finalized, filing it with the PSC and awaiting their approval. So there's a few procedural steps to go through, but the first thing to do is for the village board to sit down and go through the revised contract Altice has tendered and decide, what changes you want and what changes that they proposed you're willing to accept. And, it's something we'll be discussing in closed session.
Okay. And the other point of discussion is the proposed revisions to the Village of Warwick Facility Use Permit and Village Code Chapters 39, 90, and A150. They're pretty, there's a lot of information here. So I have a question whether we want to tackle this tonight or we want to iron it out at a work session, which might be a little bit kinder and gentler.
Either way is fine with me.
Well, first of all, Bill, I want to just commend you on the work that you've done, and Raina as well. I know that you guys have you've taken something that had a lot of loopholes and that was actually non-existent and created policy, which is very difficult, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and obviously help from Trustee Bachman,
Yes,
the three of us.
thank you, Corey.
Yeah, let me, if either way, I mean, a work session would be fine with me. I understand it's pretty detailed. But I just would just like to say a few things. Again, it was three of us, and we worked, quite a few meetings, and we wanted to make sure that the facility use forms for the organizations had enough information we can make decisions on collecting the right information. And in the middle of the project, COVID came across, and it complicated because we got many more requests to use the park, particularly from for-profit organizations, the pavilion. So again, the meetings that we talked about were, did we have the right information on the facility use to make sense? We had quite a few items to the checklist. The question was, should we allow for-profit organizations to use the parks that we have? Another lengthy conversation was, should we open it up to the town of Warwick residents versus just the village residents? Another discussion on how we charge for the lights at the over 35 in the football fields. We talked about some of the organizations that have been exempt from paying the fees and security deposits. And we talked a lot about gatherings of over 200 people on non-village property. So some pretty big topics there. And, as a result of working on the facility, we had to also then make many changes to the three park codes. For chapter 39, which was assemblies public, we changed that to assemblies public on village-owned property. Chapter 90 was just parks. We made quite a few changes to that. Now that's the Park Rules and Regulations Code, where we referenced Orange County's park rules and regulations and the town of Warwick rules and regulations. And then since we didn't need chapter 150 park rules and regulations, we just changed that to the facility use request. So a lot going on, and those were kind of the main topics versus the normal information that we needed. So, and I appreciate we've already gotten some good comments from the trustees, and we're already working with those. So, and I know Mr. Gaba has some questions on gatherings over 200 people on non-village property. So again, that will add to our project with his help.
I'd like to do it at the work session.
Okay. So we will, schedule that and give us all some time to really go through it carefully and make and finalize these decisions before it becomes policy and local law. So
okay. So I'll have the village clerk and Trustee Bachman and I will go over the highlights again, make it a little bit more clear. We've got some suggestions from them. I've also gotten some comments from Barry and from through Raina from George. So I'll put all those comments together and get ready for the work session.
okay. And we really want to try to get this buttoned up before the end of the year, because as we all know, that, people are organizing their calendars. All these groups are organizing their calendars. And so it would be best if we had this, ready for that. So,
Agree.
okay. And then on to privilege of the floor. Do we have any?
No, there are no comments.
There are no comments or guests, so. So we can go on to motions, and Barry, could you do the honors?
Okay, just before I start out on the first motion, as I mentioned before, I'm withdrawing motion number 3 regarding the remote controlled slope mower. So motion number 1, motion to grant permission to village employee Mike Finelli to carry over 2.82 vacation days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to return the building permit fee to Infinity Solar Systems LLC for a project located at 70 Lauderton Way, Section 218, Block 1, Lot 37, due to a cancellation of the contract per the request of Building Inspector Code Enforcement Officer Boris Rudzinski.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 4, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement with New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for the engineering planning grant related to the Village of Warwick Inflow and Infiltration Study of 2021. Whereas the Village of Warwick submitted a consolidated funding application for an inflow and infiltration study, and whereas the project has been selected to receive an engineering planning grant up to $30,000 through the New York State Clean Water State Revolving Fund program, and whereas certain agreements, contracts, and other documents are required to be executed by the village in order to enter into the grant agreement. Now therefore be it resolved and determined that the mayor is authorized to execute the grant agreement with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation and any and all other contracts and documents necessary to bring about the project and to fulfill the Village of Warwick's obligations under the engineering planning grant agreement.
Second.
And that's a roll call.
Trustee Cheney,
Yes.
trustee Lindberg,
Yes.
trustee Bachman,
Yes.
trustee McManus,
Yes.
Mayor Newhart,
Yes.
Number 5, resolution authorizing and appropriating the local match for the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation engineering planning grant related to the Village of Warwick Inflow and Infiltration Study. Whereas the Village of Warwick has been notified of the award of an engineering planning grant up to $30,000 through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for an inflow and infiltration study. And whereas NYSEFC requires a 20% local match of the total grant award, and whereas the 20% local match for this grant is $6,000, which the village can pay through a cash match. Now therefore be it resolved and determined that the village authorizes and appropriates the minimum 20% local match as required by the engineering planning grant program for the project.
Second.
trustee Cheney,
Yes.
trustee Lindberg,
Yes.
trustee Bachman,
Yes.
trustee McManus,
Yes.
Mayor Newhart,
Yes.
Motion number 6, determination that the proposed Village of Warwick inflow and infiltration study is a type 2 action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Whereas the Village of Warwick has been notified of the award of an engineering planning grant up to $30,000 through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for an inflow and infiltration study. And whereas pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law as amended, the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and the implementing regulations at 6 NYCRR Part 317, the village desires to comply with seeker and the regulations with respect to the project. And whereas 6 NYCRR Section 617.5 Title VI of the New York Code of Rules and Regulations under the State Environmental Quality Review Act provides that certain actions identified in subdivision C of that section are not subject to environmental review under the environmental conservation law. Now therefore be it resolved and determined that the village hereby determines that the project is a type 2 action in accordance with 6 NYCRR section 617.5 C subparagraphs 24 and 27, which constitutes that an engineering or environmental study that does not commit the village to undertake, fund, or approve any type 1 or unlisted actions is not subject to further review under 6 NYCRR Part 617. These engineering or environmental studies have been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment and are precluded from environmental review under environmental conservation law.
Second.
Trustee Cheney,
Yes.
trustee Lindberg,
Yes.
trustee Bachman,
Yes.
trustee McManus,
Yes.
Mayor Newhart,
Yes.
Number 7, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Barton and LaJudas for engineering services related to the Village of Warwick inflow and infiltration study. Whereas Barton and LaJudas assisted the Village of Warwick with the submission of a consolidated funding application for an inflow and infiltration study. And whereas the village has been notified of an award of an engineering planning grant up to $30,000 with a $6,000 match through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for the project. And whereas the village intends to use this grant and the match to pay for engineering services related to the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved and determined that the mayor is authorized to execute an agreement with Barton and LaJudas for engineering services related to the project in the amount of $36,000. This amount shall not be exceeded without prior authorization by the village board.
Second.
trustee Cheney,
Yes.
trustee Lindberg,
Yes.
trustee Bachman,
Yes.
trustee McManus, Mayor Newhart,
Yes.
Number 8, motion to authorize the mayor to amend the contract currently in effect with ESC Environmental Inc. for services to deliver chemicals to the village by increasing the delivered price for sodium hypochlorite liquid 12.5% from a previously amended $1.75 a gallon to $1.90 per gallon effective September 21st, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 9, motion to go out to bid for chemical delivery of sodium hypochlorite liquid 12.5% for the Village of Warwick water and sewer plants to include delivery to the wastewater treatment plant, reservoir water filtration plant, well number 2, well number 3, and the microfiltration plant as per the recommendation of DPW Supervisor Mike Moser.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to approve the budget modification and transfer request as per the village treasurer's memo dated October 12th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to hire from the attached list of for-year 2021-22 special event staff at a rate of $15 per hour for the following events: 10 to 12 staff members for the Halloween parade, 8 to 10 staff members for the Christmas Eve service, 10 to 12 staff members for the Easter egg hunt per the recommendation of the Village of Warwick Recreation Director Ron Incherini.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to approve the proposed outside user agreements for central sewer service and central water service requested by Pioneer Farm LLC for the Pioneer Farm subdivision property located Harold Drive, Warwick, New York, and to appoint Pittenegaro and Deutsch Consulting Engineers, PC, as the Village of Warwick engineer for this application.
Second.
Comment?
Yeah, could you just update us from what was discussed at our last meeting with in lieu of this subject?
Well, in the language that we have within our in the proposal for the outside user agreement, it still continues to say that they would be paying village rates as opposed to out of village rates.
Yeah, paragraphs 4 and 5 need a little bit of work, I think. It is a quarterly payment that we charge at this point in time, but that's not to say sometime in the future we could go to monthly. So I think it probably should say periodic payments as required by the village, and then it does speak to paying the same amount as properties receiving water service within the village, and it should be as an out of village user, because that's the way we
I thought the board was going to make had made those changes after our phone conversation. If you expected me to do them, I dropped the ball on that then, because I did not know you wanted me to make those changes. I thought they were being made. So if you want to approve it subject to those changes, I can provide a revised version to you. If you want to put it off yet again, you certainly could do that. But I was under the impression the changes we discussed had been made to the document.
Well, I guess, we didn't, that wasn't communicated. So, but I think that we could use that language that went them to accept the agreement with the changes that will be made.
And I'll offer one more thing. In item 4, it talks about paying an escrow. I think we're establishing escrow. They're not going to pay the whole. They're going to establish $5,000, but they're not necessarily going to pay that. And then there's a little redundancy of wording that we talked about, I think, Steve, the last time, just change it. Also change it to legal, engineering, and consultant fees, as opposed to engineering review and inspection fees, because that doesn't seem to cover other disciplines that we may need that would be paid for out of the escrow. So it's just those 2 paragraphs, 4 and 5.
Steve, did you write this agreement? Steve, you're muted.
Yes, I drafted that.
I just want to make sure it wasn't their lawyer who drafted it.
No, that's ours. There was some discrepancy between in village users and outside village users, periodic payments as opposed to monthly payments. And as Barry pointed out,
I don't think we should approve it till they agree to what we want.
well, that's certainly a valid position to take. If you want to put it off till the next meeting, that's fine.
Well, right now, if we approve, well, I'm not going into it. I'm just not. It's not what we want. It's not written as we want. So we should just say no tonight.
I completely understand, George, and so be it. So we have a motion, and so all in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. And so, Steve, if you could draft a new motion and a new proposal.
Mayor, if Raina has it in draft in Word document form, then I could work with Raina. We can do it and pass it to the attorney to review.
Right, let's do a red line of it so that we're clear as to what we're changing and that there's no issues about that. We'll do a red line and a clean copy and get that back to the board for the next meeting.
Yeah, good. I think that'll expedite it.
And Stephen, Steve, I'm sorry that it wasn't communicated what we anticipated. That was our, we dropped the ball too. So.
Well, it's very kind of you, but one way or another, we'll get it straightened out.
Okay. Thank you.
Make a motion to acknowledge that Michael Venieri, auditor for the Village of Warwick, performed an internal audit of the Village of Warwick Justice Court as of May 31st, 2020, to comply with Section 2019A of the Uniform Justice Court Act, and has found that all reporting and record keeping is being completed in a timely manner, and the reports are in compliance with the New York State requirements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And George?
Make a motion to report 3.48 days work per month to New York State Retirement for the retirement reporting purposes of Village Recreation Director Ron Introvini.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And make a motion to appoint Frank DeCidrio and Lynn Cheney to the Village of Warwick Shade Tree Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I am going to abstain.
Understood. And you know what, I have a question for Steve. Our code reads that the Shade Tree Commission is made up of the commissioner and two appointments. Is there any way, when we put the word out for this, we got so many folks that wanted to volunteer and be part of it. Is there any way we can add members to that commission?
There is, but I'm afraid you have to amend your code. Code says only 2 members. Only 2 members is all you can have.
I understand that. So that would mean an amendment with a public hearing.
I'm afraid so. You got to adopt a local law in order to amend your code.
Understood. Okay. Okay, we have a couple addendums. Bill, do you want to go for it?
Sure. Make a motion to close Park Avenue between Galloway Road and Bird Street on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and Friday, October 22nd, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, October 23rd, 2021, from 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the benefit of the Park Avenue Elementary School Drama Club performance.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to extend the appointment approved on July 6, 2021 of James Quackenbush to the position of Seasonal Department of Public Works Laborer for an additional 8 weeks at a salary of $15 per hour, and for up to 20 hours per week per the recommendation of the DPW Supervisor Mike Mosier.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's it on motions and reports. Barry, do you have anything for us tonight?
No, nothing.
Okay. And Trustee Lindbergh?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Mr. Bachman?
Just that the Warwick Historical Society, in partnership with Greenwood Lake Theater Company, is showcasing Detestable Arts. It's a retelling of the Salem witch trials in Lewis Park. Tickets are $30 a person, and performances are Fridays and Saturdays, 7, 8, and 9 p.m., October 22nd and 23rd, and October 29th and 30th. And to make a reservation, call 845-986-3236.
Very good, thank you. And George?
No, I'll pass tonight.
Okay. Final comments from the floor, right? We don't have any, but we do have to go into executive session, and I don't have my sheet in front of me, so I believe it's for, I can't make it out. Hold on 1 second, do you have it, Raina? That's it. So I guess to seek the confidential advice of counsel would make it the simplest.
That's the easiest. It's true.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for clarification for the audience, we will return from executive session, but will not be making any motions, correct?
That is correct. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Raina.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll end this meeting and then I'll send out a new invitation.